Hello beautiful people, I'm RaishPhoenix, and if you're a returning subscriber, I want to say thank you so much for being part of my YouTube family and coming back and joining me again and hearing my message. And I just want to express gratitude and say thank you so much for encouraging me to keep going and to keep producing new content for you guys. And I want to say how much I appreciate you guys, so thank you so much for coming back and joining me again. If you are new here and you haven't watched any of my videos before, thank you for joining me. What's up? How you doing? And if you want to see more content from me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. In today's video, I wanted to talk about patience and kind of more so the sense of when you're working towards a goal or when you want something to come to fruition. Specifically, I'm talking from my perspective, like the difficulty I experience with patience and just how I'm gonna navigate through it, or hope that I can find a way to navigate through it. This is kind of like the video I posted before on intuition and the difficulty I have following my intuition. I kind of wanted to do a version of that specifically for patience because that's something that I am having difficulty with, as I said. And that's, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's just like I feel like I gain more clarity and I feel more healed when I talk about it and share it with you guys, because I feel that there's so much healing energy in admitting how you feel and opening up to other people who have that same issue as you and finding a way to work towards finding a solution. So the experience I've been having lately with patience and not having a lot of it is I've been trying to think about what triggers it. Like, what makes me feel like suddenly I don't have enough patience to do what I'm doing. And I think it's safe to say it's ego. When it comes to ego, and when I refer to ego, I mean anything that makes you feel like you have to prove or defend your actions or prove or defend anything that you're doing. That is what I call ego, because the ego is never satisfied. The ego is something that is a false sense of self. It kind of tells you that you have to be more than what you are, or you have to do more of what you're doing, and what you're doing just isn't enough. And that's why I always say, like, don't identify with your ego. Make sure that you're grounded in what you know, but at the same time, be open to new ways of doing things, but don't allow people or situations or anything that you go through to make you feel less than in any way. Which of course is difficult, but at the same time, as I always say, not impossible. So what triggered this lack of patience in me from the beginning, and by from the beginning I mean since I've been putting my all into building my brand this year, I kind of fell into this space where I was creating for like deadlines, but deadlines created by other people. And specifically what I mean by that is the way I've been choosing to build my brand has been dominantly online. What happened is that I ended up kind of creating for what was trending at that moment. So it's like if of course, like when January comes around, a lot of people are shopping for new furniture or creating changes in their life where they're either going back into the gym or stuff like that. So it's like I would create things that felt appropriate for that time. So it makes sense to start designing, I don't know, like gym clothes around January, or make sure you have a launch of gym clothes around January, because that's when a lot of people are going to be thinking about going to the gym and having cute clothes and having stuff that makes them feel good when they go to the gym. Or when May comes around, of course with May, a lot of artists participate in mermaids, so they're drawing a mermaid every day in the month of May. And it's one of those things where a part of me gets excited to do things like that, because it gives me an assignment, it gives me something to focus my attention and energy on. And it's like, if I had this patch of time where I didn't know what I should be working on or what I should be doing, here's something that's motivating me, that's saying, hey, October's coming around, work on Inktober. Hey, May is coming around, work on Mermay, like, you know, like there's something to focus my attention on and give me an idea, you know? But after a while, I realized that that felt very unnatural for me, because instead of working on things that I thought were speaking towards me in terms of fulfilling a part of me that felt satisfied or enjoyed working on these pieces, it started to feel rushed. It started to feel like work. I guess that's the only way to describe it. And I mean, obviously it makes sense, but in another sense, it's like I quit my retail job to pursue my dreams. Pursuing my dreams shouldn't feel like work. It should be something that I enjoy, you know, like I wholeheartedly believe in the saying of like, when you are doing something you love and you enjoy, you'll never work a day in your life, because you're literally just doing something you enjoy. Eventually what happened was, with time, I realized that that process and that way of doing things was not natural for me. Social media has a way of kind of, how do I word it? Disregarding time, or allowing, I'm trying to find the best way to word it. Social media has a way of negating the amount of time it takes to do things, because when people post, oh, I'm in Japan, and now I'm in LA, and now I'm in China, and now I'm in Bali, I don't know, like when people post those things, you never know when they went there, you know, like they could have went there last year and just now posting those photos, but because we're just now seeing this, it seems like it just happened today. The same thing, of course, can be said with artists. Sometimes artists will post progress shots and then they'll post that it's done, but you don't know if those progress shots and the stuff that they're posting that's done happen over the last 3 days the way they posted it, or if it happened last year and they're just now showing it or sharing it with us. And it kind of took me a while to kind of just like take that into consideration, because I'm over here like, damn, like I know that consistency is key. You have to be consistent with what you're doing, but at the same time, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I'm the type of artist that can finish a piece in a day, because I'm not, and I've tried to be that artist so many times and I don't know why I keep trying it. I guess it's an ego thing where it's like, there's other artists doing it who sit down and they finish a drawing in a day and they say how it took 4 hours, and you know, maybe I can finish something in 4 hours, but the way my mental health is set up, it's like I need a break. I can't just sit there straight all the time. Like, it really depends on the piece. There are some pieces where I can sit there and get lost in it for hours, and then there's some pieces that feel like work and I can't do that. It's just not natural for me to sit there the full time working on it, and I just want to do what's best for me, you know. I don't want to do things that are trending anymore. So the change that I've made in my process is I started thinking about when I was drawing when I was younger. I used to do these things where I had a bunch of Shonen Jump comic books that I had collected from like going to the grocery store. They were there in the magazine section and I begged my mom to buy it for me. So I had a bunch of Shonen Jump books and I'd kind of pick them up and I'd bring them downstairs every Saturday night, and that's when they had Toonami going into Adult Swim. And I enjoyed just sitting there and drawing how I felt. During those moments in my life, it's like I didn't care about finishing a piece in one day, but at the same time, I managed to finish a piece in a day. And it was because I was drawing from the heart. I was drawing the things that I felt in that moment. I wasn't drawing things that I thought were cool or things that felt trendy. I was drawing what I felt. And I started doing that again currently, and I've realized how much pressure I put on myself to complete certain pieces, and how much I had been thinking about finishing a piece before I had even started it. And I had kind of built this very boxed in world for myself when I was working in the sense of working to produce something for a specific outcome, whereas now I'm working towards what makes me happy. as opposed to towards a goal. But ironically, it's still set up in a way of manifesting a goal. It's just I'm not thinking about the goal in a way that makes me feel less than, or like I'm not doing enough. And that helped me a lot with the lack of patience that I used to have in creating a piece in a certain time. So that solved that section of patience that I had trouble or difficulty with in my life. But now there is a new level. Well, not a new level. It's always been there since I decided to make this journey of putting my brand first. There's this level of patience that comes with allowing my brand to take as much time as it needs to become. It's kind of interesting because I was going to say to become successful, but my brand is successful because I allow myself to see that it's successful and give myself credit for what I've done. But the thing I'm working mostly towards at this point is having a steady income from doing what I love, because when you have inconsistent or sporadic paychecks, it makes it very difficult to kind of be consistent in what you're doing, because you also have to fund what you're doing in order to be able to do it, you know? So that's where most of my patience right now is, where I really need to work on it, you know? So I had a moment last night where my lack of patience was triggered by what someone had said to me regarding, I don't really know how to address this, but it's like, I'm blessed. Alright, first off, I'll say I'm blessed and I'm very grateful for the people in my life who help me afford the things that I can't right now because of the path that I've chosen. And I do understand that they can't help me forever, because at the end of the day they need to worry about themselves and they need to prioritize themselves. So when somebody extends like a helping hand and helps me do what I need to get done, I'm very blessed and I'm very grateful for that. What triggered my lack of patience is when I felt like that helping hand kind of snapped because of, like, I don't know, it could be their own personal situation that they're in, could have triggered something within them in which they took out on me, and it kind of made me feel like, oh damn, like this money better start rolling in now, or oh damn, like I don't have a lot of time left to do what I need to do to be successful in my brand and to start having a consistent income from what I'm doing. And that made me kind of low-key start to question if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm going about building my brand the right way, if my brand is going to prosper, if I'll get to a point in the right amount of time to be what I'm meant to be, or for my brand to be what it's meant to be, before, I guess, like this helping hand expires. And I'm putting a lot of things in quotes because, like, the stuff I'm putting in quotes is like, what is that? Like, why is my mind even telling me, like, these things? And it's safe to say, again, relating back to the ego, patience is very difficult, because patience, in the sense or in the perspective that I'm looking at it from, is when you need to have put enough faith in the amount of time it's taking something to work out, and know that it will happen regardless of the lack of physical or material evidence you have of it going to come to fruition. And in those moments where I doubt myself, I feel a lot of anxiety. I feel like I need to be doing more than I am. It starts to feel stressful. It starts to feel like, well, I guess you weren't working hard enough, because you would have been where you wanted to be if you were working hard enough. It starts to feel like, well, you better like start getting less sleep and start working harder. And I don't like that. I don't think that doesn't serve me. I'm not even gonna say I don't think. That doesn't serve me. That energy doesn't serve me. I don't like it. I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel like I have to be anything more than I am. I don't want to put myself in a position where I feel like I have to lead with anxiety and fear to bring to fruition the things that I want in my life. And I'm doing my best to just remind myself that everything will happen in the way that it's meant to happen. It's kind of funny because in those moments where I lack patience, it's like my mind kind of cancels out the amount of success I've already had so far in my brand. I think it's easy in those moments, or at least for the way my mind works, it's easy for my mind to kind of like forget the people that I've reached, the people that I've helped, the people that genuinely appreciate the message that I share, the people that believe in me. Because I really am truly grateful for those people. But at the same time, it's like there's this toxic thought that comes in and makes me forget those things or those moments that I've created or shared with others. And I'm doing my best to just like stay as focused as possible and to continue to do the things that genuinely bring me love and happiness and peace within. Like, of course, like on top of that, Mercury retrograde is right around the corner. We're already in pre-retrograde right now, and then July 7th is when it's direct Mercury retrograde throughout the entire month of July, and then like it'll end like pretty much like post Mercury retrograde will end kind of like I think like 2 weeks into August or something like that. And I'm just like, Lord, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm kind of scared. And the reason why I'm kind of scared is because last year around this time, Mercury retrograde shook me. Okay, shook me. There were a lot of things in my life that changed, and I'm not gonna lie, I needed that change. I see now, a year later, why those things happened the way that it did, and I'm in a better state, a much better state that I am this year than I was last year. But at the same time, these new challenges that I'm facing feel very reminiscent to last year. And that's why it scares me, because I fell so hard last year. But at the same time, I understand that, you know, yin and yang, the good and the bad come up together, and there are gonna have to be things that shake me and scare me in order for me to get to the other end or the other side of where I'm meant to be. And I'm doing my best to have patience, because I know that whatever's meant to me, but I know what's ever meant for me will be there. It will happen when it's meant to happen. I saw a meme the other day that said, God's not in a rush, you are. And when I saw that, I was just like, damn, you know? There's so many times when we want things in our life at a certain time, and if we don't get it, we feel like it's not going to work out, or it's not meant to be, or damn, maybe I'm not good enough, and I don't believe that shit. Period. I don't like that way of thought. I don't think that way of thought helps us in any way. Because at the end of the day, when you think about it, if you go outside and you plant something and you water it, it will grow. But just because it doesn't start to sprout, or it doesn't manifest or flourish a flower within the next 24 hours doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So I think my biggest challenge during this Mercury retrograde and during like right now in my life is really to just have as much patience as possible. I'm doing my best to just focus on being better at what I do, because I really believe that getting better at what I do will bring me closer to where I want to be. I've noticed this habit within myself where I tend to work towards a goal as opposed to working towards getting better at what I do to reach the goal. So I have a Patreon, right? I'm obviously, my goal is to have more patrons, you know, like you create something because you want a specific result. Having a Patreon, sometimes my mindset is like, damn, like I need to make sure I promote more so I can attract patrons, because if they don't know if my Patreon exists, how can they become a patron? But now I'm like, wait a second. Don't think like that. If you had the Patreons, or if you had the patrons that you really wanted, whatever amount that may be in my mind that is being created, how would you run your Patreon? So now I'm like, okay, I have those patrons. How would I run my Patreon? I would be doing this level of work, or I would be doing this many videos. Like, I'm doing my best to just focus on the thing that I want already coming to fruition, and just doing what I'm meant to do, get better at what I want out of it. I'm doing my best to just be in the present moment, because I think what happens sometimes is when we set goals, we feel like if we're not at that goal, we're not good enough, or we're not doing well enough. The point of making a goal is to have something where you want to better yourself, but bettering yourself shouldn't come at the expense of making you feel like you're not good enough. But yeah, at this moment, like, my main goal is to definitely just be very consciously aware of the thoughts going through my head. I think that is what helps a lot with patience, because when you have lack of patience, you're focusing on being somewhere other than the state that you're in. I actually saw something last night that was saying, when it comes to creating goals, or when it comes to getting better, in order to be able to reach where you're meant to be, you have to be at peace with where you are. And I was just like, damn. Because, like, it's one of those things where it's just like, you have to practice gratitude, and you have to be grateful for things in order to attract more grateful things. And, like, you will never have a positive life with a negative mind. You have to make that switch. Like, it's a choice. It's not something you're born with. It's a choice to be positive. It's a choice to be negative. And anybody that tells you differently, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that person probably isn't living their life the way that you would want to. You know, like, be aware and be conscious of the people that give you specific advice. If you're taking advice from someone, make sure that it's from somebody who's living their life the way you would want to live your life, because if they're not, they can only give you advice from their perspective and what they believe is possible. And if they don't believe it's possible for them to do something, they can never encourage you to be able to do something in your life, period. You know, it's so important to surround yourself with people who are either doing the same thing as you or are just as positive as you, because it's so necessary. And I think for a very long time in my life, I don't think it was that I even was thinking about it in general, but it's like I didn't realize how important it is to have people around you who tell you to believe in yourself and support you with what you're doing. Because there are some people who will tell you, you know, hey, you know, be realistic, or hey, you know, like, make sure if you're gonna do it, you do it this way. But then there are people who are just like, hell yeah, strive for it, like, go for it, like, you can do it. And it's like, I need more people that are like, hell yeah, go for it, you know, because the things that I'm doing are kind of things, I guess, that a lot of people don't try to do or don't think will work out. So I can never expect people who wouldn't do that to tell me it's possible to achieve it, because they don't think they can achieve it. So how can they encourage me, you know? But I think that definitely plays a big part in patience, having the right environment to nurture that, you know? I don't know, guys, patience is tough. It's tough as hell, you know, to just be patient and, you know, just know that everything's gonna work out. I guess this video within itself is patience, because I don't have the answer to having more patience right now. I just know what I need to work towards and hoping to God that it works, you know? So I'm gonna do what I did with my video on intuition. If you guys have any affirmations for having patience, or if you have anything that you've been doing in order to help you have more patience and working towards being in a state where you're not upset or as bothered with the current state you're in, even though you're working towards being better. If you have any tips on that, go ahead and comment it below. Let's create a space of just becoming the best versions of ourselves and share tips on how we can get there. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Bless up, and until next time, sending out much peace, love, and enlightenment. Bye guys.